So I recently welcomed this RGX 820Z back into the hood after years of missing it, and I was scheduled to serve on Sunday soon after. Naturally, as you would with all new gear, I was excited to play it and plugged it into my HX Storm Plethora X5 rig. The tone coming out of it was okay. It wasn't mind-blowing, it didn't feel like the best guitar ever. For disclosure, this guitar sits at a price point with specs lower than most of my guitars, but at its price point, it is blowing every other guitar out of the water. The key problem I was running into centered around these Seymour Duncan JB and Jazz pickups. They seem to have this narrow band of treble frequencies that if you tweak them at just the right amount, they sound magical and pop out of the speakers with clarity and articulation. But overdo it by just a smidge and they become overly shrill, and cut them out by a similarly marginal amount and you lose clarity and definition. I was adjusting the M models on my HX Storm, balancing the right amount of bass and treble on the overdrives, niching out the lower mids of the delay and reverb, and I achieved what I felt was the best possible tone out of the guitar. Then it hit me. What if the treble content from the guitar was a direct result of the system input? In other words, what if I was supplying a signal that already had less treble in it? You may or may not know this, but the cables you're using to connect between your guitar and your rig play a critical role in how your overall tone sounds like. This is a bullet coil cable. It's well made, has taken a beating through the years, it's not cheap, and even though the blurb says it's 15 feet of cable, you're getting a lot more due to the coils. All that additional cabling and the uniquely coiled design leads to an inescapable phenomenon called cable capacitance.
But 25 feet of any cable, even the best cable, you're going to have a little bit of capacitance going on. The little bit of dullness that you heard with pedal 1, that's cable capacitance.
Every bit of cabling adds up. There's easily 15 to 20 feet of cabling, which could be just from the pedal board itself. Add 15 feet of instrument cable to the equation and your system is primed for treble loss due to the built-up capacitance. How is that going to mitigate against cable capacitance? Here's where a cheap $30 solution unexpectedly came into play: going wireless to eliminate the cable. This is the Ammoon wireless guitar system. It's dirt cheap, does its job, and has a hi-fi sound to the tone to the point that I think it's overly bright, or so I thought. I never use this with strats, and if I do, I'm dialing out the treble with EQ. I didn't connect the dots until I remembered a video I did a while back where I compared the input impedances between the wired and wireless inputs of the Pod Go. Over and over again, the wireless input was very bright. That is, until I applied a cable emulation setting on the wireless receiver on the Pod Go. So here's the thing about wireless and cables I was getting wrong. It's not that the wireless was overly bright. It's doing its job in sending the correct hi-fi quality of sound through my system, no treble loss. Going through an instrument cable is where I was going to experience treble loss due to cable capacitance. Armed with this knowledge, I was going to do a live A/B test. My worship team plays for multiple service timings throughout the day, so I used the bullet cable at one service and went wireless with the Ammoon at the other. Full disclosure, I'll acknowledge this as a very non-scientific way of testing. I didn't make any measurements, only that I kept everything in the rig the same except for the cable versus wireless inputs. So let's hear these examples played back to back. Here's my conclusion at the end of the day. I liked the tone of the rig coming out of the cheap wireless a lot more than with the expensive bullet cable. The pickups felt more alive, dynamic, and had a larger margin of error before the tone problems began to manifest, all because the high end was present. A cheap wireless isn't the only option though. You can preserve the top end of your signal by having it buffered, maybe with a dedicated buffer pedal or having a buffered bypass pedal like True Tone or Boss pedals near the front of your chain. My takeaway is that you should use whichever system is most comfortable for you. If cable is your thing, stick to cable for the most part. But if you do encounter a situation like me where the pickups could use more high-end content, consider swapping out the cable or implementing a buffered solution. If you've gotten value out of this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to trigger YouTube and grow the channel. Check out my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can directly support the channel by getting one of my preset packs and contributing towards getting new gear to feature here. And lastly, if you're really into geeky stuff like input impedance, I did a full video examining the issue with the Line 6 Pot Gold wireless linked after this. See you there.